My next guests are going to inspire you, point blank, end of sentence. Patrick Rahall and Ashes Homon-Rahall have been part of the New England film family for a long time. Friends to many, helping out on tons of local projects, but both of them were a bit nervous about spearheading their own creations. How many of you can relate? For Patrick, it was going to his first Shawna Shea Film Festival that finally pushed him over the edge and inspired him to punch his fears in the face and just make his dreams happen. The following year, I was at the premiere of Patrick's first film, Killing with Kindness, and I couldn't be happier for him. A few months later, I was at the premiere of Ash's debut film, Sweet Dreams, and I was equally bursting with joy. In just over a year since, they've finished 4 more films between them, have been nominated for several awards, started their own production company, and joined forces with multiple other production companies to start a new horror film festival called the Dead of Winter Film Festival. And they've got more cooking. How's that for inspiring? So, for those of you inside your own heads about getting out there and making your thing happen, trust me when I say we have walked that road and we are rooting for you. And I hope this story puts you over the edge to get out there and make your thing. I am de-frickin-lighted to bring you this interview with the heads of Magenta Manor Productions, Patrick Rahall and Ashes Homon-Rahall. Both of you are filmmakers. Both of you are also festival runners. We'll talk about that also in a bit. But I'm excited to ask, what is your origin story and your origin story? How did you get started? What was the bug that bit you? When did it happen?
All right, so mine's a little bit longer than yours, but I'll try and pare it down as quickly as I can. So in 2019, we went to the Shawna Shea Film Festival where we met several people, including Michael Neel, Erica Stockwell, Diana Porter, and so those two ladies had just premiered their directorial debuts there, and driving home we're like, we need to make movies. I had already, dabbled in writing. I had published a couple of books, nothing overly big or important, but in 2021, I got fired the week after my 40th birthday, literally 7 days, because the company I was working for, what I was doing, our clients started doing themselves, so there was no need for me to be there anymore. And I ended up helping Michael Neel while I was unemployed, work on Filmmakers. And because of that, he recommended me to my first paying job, and that led to another paying job. And then from there, the next film I worked on was The Holdovers, and from there I worked on like 9 features since then, and I finally was able to direct my own short in July of 2023, and I just directed my second at the end of February, and it's been phenomenal, and I'm very grateful to finally be in a place where I can direct my, as James calls it, my weaponized autism into a creative outlet that I never really had the opportunity for until I was in my 40s. Sam Jackson was 47 before he got his first big role, so exactly. I'm way ahead of him.
That's right. That's awesome. Okay, what's your origin story?
So mine started a long time ago. I have always loved to entertain. I've always been acting, singing, doing all of this stuff. Filmmaking wasn't something that was really on my radar. Until my senior year of high school, I took a mass media course and we did this whole, the history of film, and we watched all these films, and that's what introduced me to John Waters, who I love, and it really piqued my interest. I went to high school in a small town, telling your guidance counselors that I want to be famous, I want to make movies, I want to do all this stuff. They're like, yeah, so you want to wait tables for the rest of your life? And I was like, well, it didn't seem like a plausible career path where I was at, location-wise and everything, at that point in my life. So I went on and got my degree in biology and biotechnology, and throughout college I was able to do some student productions, some theater, some student films. But ultimately, science took over my life. I met this guy. You can ask him, I have been trying to find my creative outlet for a really long time.
Not just creative outlet, something that you knew you were good at. We've tried several things where she's just like, I've never done this, but who knows, maybe I'm a natural. We tried golf, that's not it. We tried shooting, you're a pretty good shot.
Yes, I am a pretty good shot. But I have this thing where I just, you never know what you're good at until you try it. And so my story, I've been trying to find my thing for a really long time. I've tried multiple things, and while I enjoy doing multiple things, nothing really stuck. Nothing really kind of like made my heart happy. Nothing really fed that, created that passion, that feeds your soul. Until he and I started a podcast. Because of that podcast, we went to the Shawna Shea Film Festival to interview some filmmakers and support some friends who we had made along the way, interviewing them for the podcast and stuff. And yeah, the rest is history. We decided that we wanted to get into filmmaking. He decided that he wanted to make it his profession.
Well, I didn't decide that until the opportunity arose, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm still getting these opportunities. Hell yeah, I'll keep doing this."
And we decided that we wanted to make a movie, and I said, well, you know what, I need to get myself on as many sets as I possibly can in order to gain that experience. So the pandemic kind of sidetracked that a little bit, but as soon as things got filming again, we were able to get on sets and do stuff. And I waited until I felt comfortable and confident enough to direct my own, which I did this past February. I wrote, directed, and starred in my film. It's just him and I, and we filmed it on February 3rd, and it premiered at the Dead of Winter Horror Festival on February 25th.
It was finished
about
1 a.m. on February 20th.
I don't recommend doing that, by the way. It is stressful, it is crazy, it is like baptism by fire, like here you go, have fun. But honestly, I wouldn't have changed anything about that experience because it worked.
We were in pre-production on my second short. We were in the process of planning Dead of Winter, and we both worked full-time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I wouldn't recommend doing all of those things at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
But other than that, it was a really, really fun experience. We both got to do stuff that we had never done before. I'd never run a camera, I'd never done sound, I'd never done color grading, I'd never done lighting, and I did all of those things to a level that I guess was halfway okay.
Because I know that you like writing. What made you start with writing? And I know you liked performing. When did you feel that urge? In childhood, high school?
I mean, I've always written stories. I've always enjoyed writing stories. I like stuff. I got really big into the paranormal when I was a kid, and I love these alien conspiracy theories, and there's a lot of stuff I buy into. Some of the stuff, like robots on the moon, no. But are there aliens? Yeah, absolutely. But I always enjoyed writing and reading, and for a while I stopped in 6th grade because I was like, my stories are stupid, no one will ever want to read these are terrible. And I focused on reading for a while. Then I read The Mangler by Stephen King, about a haunted laundry machine that kills people, which they made a movie about, and then they made a sequel to the movie. And I was like, well, nothing I could write would be more far-fetched or out of left field than this. So, but that also taught me that there is no limit to what you can imagine. I take a lot of stuff. There's a story I read as a kid that is still influencing my writing today. It's the White Mountains, part of the Tripod trilogy by John Christopher, which I finally got to read the second 2 books when I was in my 30s. I read the first one when I was 10, and I read it over and over and over and over. and like some of that stuff is still influencing. And if I could ever adapt that, I would fucking love it. It would be amazing.
So, some of my earliest memories are of performing. I used to, so the two films in particular, Mary Poppins and The Wizard of Oz, I would dress up and I would watch the movies and then like act out the films while watching them, to the point where I knew every single one of Judy Garland's lines, I knew every single one of Julie Andrews' lines, you know, I used to pretend that I was dancing with penguins too, you know, all of that. I was the kid who put on my poor parents, like what they had to endure, you know, this child who is very enthusiastic and craving the spotlight and attention, but like wanting to earn that from you. Like I want your attention, but I want to do something for you, you know, to want to pay attention to me. So
it's reciprocal.
I would the concerts that I would put on in the living room, I would line my stuffed animals up, you know, the things they've seen, the things they've heard, all of the flat notes. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just something that's always been kind of ingrained in me, just that love of performing and dressing up and pretending to be somebody that you're not for, you know, a length of time, for, you know, however long it may be. And yeah, it's just something that I've always loved. And when I learned that, you know, oh, you can be an actor and you can do all this stuff, and then, you know, developed a love of stage performance and stuff as well, you know. It's just, it's really thrilling to kind of be able to put yourself in your back pocket for a little bit and be somebody else. It's really exciting. Like right now, we're currently working on trying to make a feature film called Stakes. It came from the Favotie Productions, and I get to be this fabulous character. Her name is Linda, and she is everything that I'm not, but I love her. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. We're actually more similar. Yes, we're actually more similar. Having the ability to make this character come to life just honestly like makes me come to life even more. It's almost like I get to find new parts of myself that I didn't know was there, and just love it so much.
Yeah, and to kind of expand on that a little bit, like the influences we have. Like, I was big into Calvin and Hobbes as a kid because, like, I saw myself as Calvin so much, to the point where you have a Mary Poppins tattoo and I have a Calvin and Hobbes tattoo. So, like, I think that's one of those things that really, like, showed me that your imagination and like whatever you can come up with is just, it's limitless. There is no potential that you can reach that will be too high. Without imagination, I mean, think about the things that we have now that were only imaginary, you know, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. I mean, Jules Verne imagined TVs, like Dick Tracy used to have a watch he would talk into, you know, submarines, again, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, you know, all this stuff that these sci-fi writers just imagine. Asimov, again.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yep. I love the Arthur C. Clarke quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And it's true. Like, if you were to travel back 200 years with an iPhone, like, you'd be burned as a witch instantly. But, like, that's the thing, because you can't understand that. There's no, like, if you see something again, going back to the aliens, like, if you see something, it's like, that looks like it's, you know, some sort of craft, an aircraft. You know, 200 years ago, there was no word for that.
Tell me about your latest film, and tell me about your latest film.
So my most recent film is called Cooking for Friends. It's an idea that I had. It's kind of loosely based on a short story I wrote called Pot Roast, where a guy cooks and eats his wife. But this is I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go with it until we filmed it and I was editing, and I was like, this doesn't land the way I thought it was going to land. It's basically about a YouTube creator who does a cooking show, and she gets people to subscribe to her, I call it her patronize, so Patreon type of thing. And by doing that, she's like, oh, if you get up to this certain tier, I'll send you a cookbook. And that's how she gets her victims. And it didn't quite come across that way. And then I had the idea to kind of cross it over, make it like a found footage type of thing, where it's like, this was the last thing. Like, police finally had enough evidence to raid her house, and this is what they found. And so there's like a disclaimer at the beginning and a disclaimer at the end, but we kind of tie it into the whole stakes universe. It wasn't my intention to do this, but I was like, oh, I'm going to do a police thing, and it's like, I might as well just make it Lazarus Nook. I might as well just connect it, because that way, like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this vicinity. So there's already a bunch of weird disappearances, and so like that kind of helps add to the mystery. And I'm a big fan.
Would you say it adds to the flavor?
It does. And it's not for everybody. It varies from person to person, just like taste. But yeah, there's a lot. I threw a lot of. As you know, I like wordplay and puns, and there's a lot of that in this short. And when I originally conceived it, I was like, yeah, we're gonna get this filmed. We're gonna film it in 6 hours. Everybody's gonna, and we did. We filmed it in exactly 6 hours. Everybody was on their way. I'm like, yeah, all right. So this will be like 5-6 minutes long. Ended up being, the first cut was over 11 minutes without credits, and I was like, I have to cut so much out of this, and I did, and I got it down to 9:44 with credits. But I was like, I don't like stories that overstay their welcome, stay too long. I like, get in, tell your story, get out. I don't need a bunch of like expositional B-roll. I don't need all that. At least not for this. Like, there are certain stories where it's necessary, show don't tell. I like to stick stuff like right out in the open. Like, there are scenes where it's like there's an eyeball sitting on a counter, but you won't notice it. Like, hey, there's a jar of ears, but you won't notice it. When you watch it 3 or 4 times, or if I point it out to you, like, hey, this is where that happened, you're like, how did it's like it's not hidden, but I don't draw attention to it. And I think that's a really good way to do that. Like Usual Suspect style, where everything that happens is just off of that one bulletin board. I was able to take a couple of like different approaches, because it's like, okay, now I know what I can do in editing. I know what I can, because I've edited before, and I was able to. There were some shots that I wanted to do for Killing with Kindness that I kind of adapted into this. Not so much like the exact motion, but it's like, I want to do this, but I want to film it in reverse so it looks like really jarring and unsettling, and then reverse that so the action that you're seeing is the way it's supposed to be, but we filmed it backwards so it looks off-putting, and it's kind of like in the movie Irreversible, if you're familiar with that. There's a tone that gets played in the soundtrack that it's like barely audible, but like it induces anxiety in anyone who hears it. It's like the super, super low frequency, and like they play it right before specific scenes, so like you're already on edge, you don't understand why, and like that's kind of like what I wanted to do, and I wanted to put this stuff in there that kind of throws you off and makes you like, something's wrong, but I don't know what. It's more horror than comedy. There is a little bit of comedy thrown in, but it's the wordplay. I mean, that is. It's also the way Louisa, as Miriam Leonor plays, delivers these performances. Like, I like people who can, like, I never audition. I just like, I know who I want to play this character.
I do that too.
Because it's like, I know like, part of the reason I picked her is English is not her first language, so she's going to pronounce things a certain way and say things a certain way. And is it because is she telling you literally what she's saying, or is a language barrier thing.
Or she gets the idiom wrong and it comes out funny or like harsh.
Exactly. There's a scene where she's answering viewer mail and David from Boston asks about what kind of pasta is best for mac and cheese. And if you're a Bruins fan, you know that David Pasternak is known as pasta. So I threw that in there for those folks. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the old school Disney mentality of like, yes, this is for everybody to enjoy, but the parents will get kicks out of this joke that the kids might miss.
There's a thing from if you remember Howie Mandel's show Bobby World, the animated one from years and years and years ago. It was very similar to Calvin and Hobbes, where Bobby would imagine things happening, and there was a girl that liked him, and he imagined her as an octopus and like trying to grab him. And the hero from his imagination was like, Bobby, watch out for her tentacles. And he's like, I thought only boys had tentacles. So, like, stuff like that. And I saw that probably 35 years ago.
But it sticks.
It stuck with me, and it's just one of those things. It's like, I like that type of wordplay. So that's what I'm going to do.
So my current project is actually my first film. It's called Sweet Dreams. It is about a wife who is just completely and utterly exhausted and ultimately seeks revenge for her said exhaustion.
And you won an award for that.
I did, yes. I won the Best First Time Filmmaker Award at the Lois Weber Film Festival, which was...
It premiered at the dead of winter, and then it was maybe a month later it won its first award. Are both of you going to put your films further out into the circuit for people to enjoy?
We've been trying.
Yes.
We've submitted to a ton of festivals. Like, I've got stuff that I've submitted to that won't get... I won't know if it got in until February of 2025. So.
But, you know, the really cool thing, the thing that just kind of touches my heart so much is we've had the opportunity to have both of our films play at film festivals together. And I joke, I'm lame. I'm like, oh, his and hers films. You know, some couples have his and hers towels in the bathroom. We have his and hers films playing at film festivals. So they are both playing at Strange Maynard. They are also, we just found out
earlier
about an
tonight
hour ago that we got accepted
to Phantasmagoria.
Yeah, Phantasmagoria down in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yep.
Yeah, so
that'll be May 4th, which is unfortunately the same day as Strange Maynard. But yeah, that's going to be playing there. I think that'll be the 7th or 8th laurel for Killing with Kindness. My Cooking for Friends will make its debut at online at the Severed Limbs 16, which Sweet Dreams and Killing with Kindness also got accepted. So,
Yay!
Yeah, we're very excited. Like, you know, for us, we're very happy with the way our films have been received. Like, we were on vacation for our 10th anniversary when we got the email that Killing with Kindness got nominated for 2 awards at Shawna Shea. We're nominated for 1 award for tomorrow. Best Worcester County Short. We actually filmed it about 10 minutes up the road. I did win an award. I don't talk about it a lot, but we did win an award for Happenstance Horror Fest. We were the Audience Choice Award, which was super excited. And the guy who runs it, George Fraser, did not tell me that I won it. He asked for my address, and I was like, that's weird. And then a few days later, a plaque showed up in the mail.
Wow.
And I was floored. Yeah. No, like the first time it premiered, it was here, it was in that same room back in September. And when that Magenta Manor logo came up, Niagara Falls, Frankie.
Niagara Falls.
Yes, I couldn't.
Slowly I stepped, sorry.
No, I get that reference too. That's one of my influences is the Three Stooges. Where are we? Goslow. That says go slow, you idiot. New Year's Eve. So that was one of the the biggest traditions that I would have, my brothers and my dad, and every year we would watch the Stooges marathon. And the year my dad passed was the first year they didn't do the marathon. And we found out about it like the day of, and I was like, oh, what channel is it on? What channel is it on? And that was 2022, and it's like, it's not on, and I was devastated. She bought me the entire set.
What's the next project after this one that you've got?
So I've got a secret thing that I came up with the other day. It's probably going to be a few minutes long, but I'm keeping you in the dark until I have it done editing, because I want you to see it and
the
get
audacity.
your.
Really.
Well, I want to get your real, unadulterated reaction, and I think I know what it's going to be. But
I'm adulterated.
And then, I've got, we're part of the Fun Size Film Group, which is how we made Cooking for Friends. That's basically a group of folks who we're all filmmakers, and we all work on each other's projects and try to do jobs that we have never done before. Like, I did my first sound job on that. Like, she was set deck art department on Cooking for Friends. So everybody gets a chance to do something different on set that maybe on a bigger set that you wouldn't get a chance to do. Right. It's like, oh, I really want to work in the camera department. It's like, yeah, good luck. Yeah.
What's your favorite aspect of making a movie?
I think shooting it, like the creative process, like we talked about this while we were editing. It's like, oh God, like you're editing your own stuff and you're just like, I shouldn't have done this. I should have been a carpenter, or like I should be a plumber. Like, why did I think that this was a good idea? Like when you're writing and you're creating and you're in the moment, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And then you start editing and you're like, oh, why did I do this? Because I do enjoy editing. I do. I think it's easier to edit like somebody else's stuff sometimes. But like, there's also times where it's like, oh, I wouldn't do it that way. Like, this would be so much easier if this was mine, because I wouldn't have to pass it through anybody else's approval.
Sorry.
But that's the whole thing. Is, when you're doing that, you have to look at it with a different eye, and it's definitely a collaborative effort. I've found. Granted, it was just her and I collaborating, and there was no hostility whatsoever. Everything was wonderful.
It was a really good time. I have no idea what you're talking about.
We didn't get divorced, so
I was going to say, we're still married, so shut up.
It's such a huge contrast from the creative portion, because when you're being creative, you're just like, oh, they're going to do this, and there's going to be fireworks and jets, and like the ground's going to open up. Then you're like, I better cut the dinosaur subplot, because there's no way that's going to make sense in a cooking video.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you can get over your skis on this stuff, and you can be too ambitious. But there are also occasions where, and you found this out, you can be too conservative. Because like, she's like, oh, this is a shot that I want to get, but like, I don't know how to do it. I was like, well, I can do this in editing. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. So now for your next one, you've been talking about, now that I know certain things that can be done, I'm looking at writing the script a different way. Because when I did Killing with Kindness, we shot it in my mom's yard, but it looks like it's the deep, dark woods. But the way Mike framed stuff, like there was a house right here, there was a house right here, like the shot of the shed, like just to the left of those bushes is the house and the driveway, and you could see cars in it. Like there are a couple of shots where you can see other stuff that we just weren't able to frame out. But it's like the shot worked, and it's like even with the opening shot of the shed, there's a chimney there. That belongs to the house next door.
I love
but
it.
The way it's kind of framed, it could almost be part of
it. Looks like it was, yeah. So
Mike's really good at doing stuff like that. But like, the way we framed it, like when they're running by at the beginning, that's just to the right of where she comes out of the woods. Like, where she's walking up, like, there's a pool 15 feet away. Like,
my favorite part, I love the creative process of pre-production, getting everything together, making sure that the script is nice and neat and perfect, and getting your shot list and everything together. But I love special effects, and I never felt more alive than in my getting everything together for my film, making the blood and doing all the special effects stuff and carving out the styrofoam and painting things and then getting to cover myself with blood and everything. I loved that part so much, kind of taking what I've learned from different arts and crafts.
And we did a mini photo shoot of you covered in blood in bed afterwards.
Oh yeah, I had a glass of champagne, and I was just all bloody, and I was just all
That's
smiles
marketing promotional material for the shoot.
And she posted that picture, and moments after posting that picture, Gabby reached out and was like, "Hey, do you want to submit your film?" It's like
it's just
we just finished shooting
it.
20 minutes ago. We haven't eaten dinner. We haven't cleaned up yet.
Yeah. That was it was very messy shoot. Clean up, but you know what? I was so happy. I had champagne in one hand, covered in blood, sponge in another, cleaning off my bedroom walls.
I will say though, like your formula that you did was super easy to clean. Like she bought white sheets and all this stuff, and we had a plastic sheet liner.
Having to, and there were parts like the pillow with all the
chunks and stuff,
the guts and everything on it, like that obviously had to be thrown out. But I was anticipating
only one of the pillows. The other pillow, like the other pillowcase.
I was gonna say, like I thought for sure I was gonna have to throw everything out.
We wiped everything right down off the wall,
and I was just like, you know what? Let me wash it. Let me see what happens. And yeah, everything. My sheets are completely white.
Yeah, because when we saw how easy it cleaned off the wall.
Yeah, and cleaned off of me too. I was
like, let's just wash the sheets, see what happens.
Red streaks having to go into work on Monday and be like, no, I'm fine, thank you.
Shout out to Mandy Strange for the blood recipe.
Yes, she is a special effects artist and a cosplayer. And she's also one of my ghoul friends on the Living Dead Ghouls podcast.
Not only is the blood very convincing, it's also delicious.
Yes, it is edible. But we attended a demonstration that she did at Mazda Expo last October. And she's like, oh, here's my edible blood recipe, and kind of showed how you can make it look like guts and stuff too. So I used that as the base. I was like, okay, well, I wonder if I do this, and
she scienced it up a little bit.
Add this to it, and so I was able to kind of make something that worked pretty well, I think, for my film. And, but that was my favorite part, was kind of, getting to do the special effects and kind of science the shit out of it a little bit and do all of that stuff. The part that I hated was editing. The editing process, I hated it so much.
And you were in the living room for half of it, because I was putting it together.
But here's the thing, it's because I had to look at my face. You're looking at yourself to the point where you just get so over yourself, because you're just like, why do I look like this? What is that face? Like, what is, it's almost like you kind of have to dissociate yourself from yourself. Yeah, so highly don't recommend that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we're not using that take. Nope, cut that. Like, can you color correct that? I have the tendency
to, I can go derpy really quickly, like really easily. Yeah. So like there would be scenes where I'm like, that's good, and then she goes derp, and it's just like, no,
cut it right there. Cut it right there.
The finished product is fine. Like I can watch that, and I'm like, I'm content with how everything came out. I would be getting ready for work and looking at myself in the mirror, to get ready, and be like, oh, that bitch again, like. Just over it.
You again? I keep seeing you everywhere.
What words of wisdom do you have for somebody who wants to get started in film, maybe make their first movie, but may not know how? What words of advice do you have for that?
I mean,
do it.
Yeah, it's the same thing that it was advice that was given to me on the first podcast I ever did. There's a million people that do what we do, but nobody else has your voice. No one else is going to create the way you create. No one else is going to have the vision that you have. So just get out there. And if you make a film and you make another film and you make another film and you look back at your first one and you're like, ugh, that means you're doing the right thing. You're growing and you're getting better. Also, I've found, and this is the advice that I always give, know what you know what you don't know. I'm not a camera person. I'm not a lighting person. I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I surround myself with people who are very, very good at doing that. And if you are able to rope those people into and most people will do it for food. Like, feed someone and they will help you out on your film, because people just want to help other people create. I say all the time, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I really feel like there's so many people in our community that it's like, hey, I need help with this. Can you help? Yeah, sure, I'll come down. I'll help you. You need me to just fill sandbags? When I helped Mike Neel on Celophaeus, the first thing I was filling sandbags and, sweeping out a horse stall. You never know what you're going to be doing on a set. Like, you could be, it's like, today I'm trying to stop drunk Bostonians from going to a bar while we're shooting. Like, hey, hold up a second. We're filming a movie. Can you give me 2 minutes? Or you might be driving a van. Like, you never know. You might be lugging equipment 2 miles across a beach in waist-deep water in Provincetown. Like,
them's the breaks.
But it's all valuable experience, and it's stuff that you're not going to get on any other job.
And that's one of the things, I love about the independent film community is it's just that. It's a community. And we're all just looking to help each other. And so if you're interested in making a film, introduce yourself to that community. Go to a local film festival. There are so many Facebook groups out there, for independent film in your area or whatever. Go get into those groups, introduce yourself, say who you are and what you're looking to do, because I guarantee many people would be willing to take you under their wing.
And watch the credits in these movies, because you will start to see the same names popping up over and over and over again.
Well, it's not just that, it's people trying to help other people.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's trying to, help. We're all in it for the creative process. We're all in it for the love of the art of film. Mm-hmm. And, if you also have that love for the art of filmmaking, but you don't know where to start, that's a really good place to start. Just introduce yourself, say hi, go to these festivals, jump into these groups, make friends with these people. We don't bite hard, and see what happens, because that's what we did. It's just like a hi, my name's Ashes and I would love to make a film, but I don't know what to do. So can I be on your set? I will work for free, and
for food.
And
work for lunch.
Right. Well, and as an independent filmmaker, free is a fabulous word. We love the word free. So if you want to come work for me for free on my next set, absolutely, you're hired. So
I will tell you, one of the craziest things when I started working on actual sets, like sets where there's a budget, is the first time I came across a craft services person. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to tip them. I had no idea. Because, you go and they're they have all these snacks and food and drinks, and it's just they're free. You can just have them whenever you want. Oh, look, there's gum, there's cans of soda, there's coffee, there's gummy bears, there's M&Ms, and it's you can just have them. For a hefty gentleman as myself, it was one of the most. oh, I have to drive this van. I'm going to be sitting in a van for 14 hours today. It's cold. It's November. It's raining. But that guy has hot chocolate. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to get hot chocolate. I'm going to get some muffins. And I'm going to sit in the van.
Patrick just makes film for the food, obviously.
One of my very best film friends is in catering. And for the longest time, I kept suggesting that she do a waffle bar. And she finally did. She did a waffle bar, and I texted her, and she said, "You telling me you badgered that poor woman into a waffle bar?" And I said, "Yes." And it was amazing. And I had strawberries on my waffle.
So tell me about the genesis and the first annual Dead of Winter Festival.
Well, it started as a way for us to kind of, we really wanted to showcase our own films, and we wanted to showcase New England films. And all of us are independent filmmakers, and we were kind of fed up with how certain scenes are. So it's like, we want to do a convention, we want to do it in Worcester, we want to bring horror back because we all miss Rock and Shock, because that's how most of us met. And it's like, we all have this very supportive nature in all of us, whether it's working on a set for free or throwing some money at a set or a production, lending a hand in any way we can. And it's like, okay, let's do something that celebrates New England horror. Like, if you're from New York, sorry, you're out of luck. Delaware, sorry. But the six New England states, bring everything. Like, let's get as many people here as we can. And we grabbed folks who had films that had been playing, folks who were also super supportive of us, without expecting anything in return, because that's how we are. It's like, okay, we're putting together this thing. This is where your movie is going to be screening. Do you want to be a part of this? And it's like, every single person was like, my film can screen in that room at Mechanics Hall? Oh my God. So we were looking for a venue, and I had interviewed with John Keogh from Manny J Media about a director job. And I was like, John's a Worcester guy. Maybe John knows. So I talked to him. I looped him in with James Lamont it came from the 508. And within 8 weeks, we had a venue and we had a festival, and it was amazing. Like, we had specific projections for what we thought our attendance would be. We crushed that. We had so much. Go ahead.
I was just saying, this event really is a love letter to New England horror, and independent horror, especially, and all of the facets that make up New England independent horror. So it's not just filmmakers, but artists and vendors and the people and everything. It's just we really wanted to celebrate that community that has given us so much, and kind of give back to it a little bit, and show people that we're here and there's so much talent to be had here, and put on a really good show. And lucky for us, it was really successful. Everyone had a fantastic time, which makes me so incredibly happy. Well, to the point where we're going harder next year, bigger, better, bloodier. It's going to be 2 days, and I'm so excited. We have so many things we're working on that we can't say anything about right now, but trust me, it's going to be it's so incredibly exciting what we're attempting to do.
Well, one of the biggest things that we wanted to hold true to was, we wanted to make it a good experience for everyone, because how many times have you been to a convention
We
and
all
it's just
have
packed like
convention
sardines?
horror stories.
Not that we've had.
Yeah, not.
So
that
we
much,
made it.
yes.
We have a nice wide berth for everybody to walk through, so you're not overly crowded, but there's still a ton of stuff packed in. We also made it very affordable. Like, there were so many conventions where it's like, oh, you want a 6-foot table? It's $450, and it's like, we can't in good conscience charge that. So our vendor tables were $100.
Mm-hmm.
We had, all kinds of different people coming in offering different things, like you were saying. We had artwork, we had food, we had collectibles, we had Vision Studios showed up and had a nice photo booth, and there was just so much that we offered that people were looking forward to. I think one of the biggest things was the cosplayers and the filmmakers having access to our green room and our catering. So it's like, we have all this food up here. Like,
Again, the food.
go in a hypothetical situation, if you were running your own convention, what would you do? It's like, we are running our own convention. But I think one of the biggest things that really showed us what the horror community was about is we didn't have any celebrity guests. Everybody was just a bunch of peers. Everybody who works together, so many people's names overlapped on other people's films. I think that was the biggest thing.
Well, I mean, the celebrities, so to speak, were the filmmakers and those involved in the filmmaking process. Those were the ones that you came to see, and the vendors and the artists. We wanted them to shine. You don't need, celebrity guests like that. That's cool and that's fine, and if you can get it, great. But it's not necessary. You can let this talent shine on its own.
Exactly.
What is one last thing you would like to share with the viewers in service of inspiring them to get out there and make their first film?
It's never too late. It doesn't matter what I know we talked about this earlier, but we formed Magenta Manor in June of last year, and we have 3 films out. 2 of them have won awards, and it's been a little over 6 months, and we've got all these films out. It hasn't been a year.
And you have a project in pre-production. I have a project in pre-production.
We've worked on we've worked as ADs. We've worked as,
So you're saying just go out there and get started.
Just get started, because you never know. I worked on a super low budget movie, and then the next thing that I did, I was driving Claire Forlani around to and from set,
On the holdovers.
No, on a movie that hasn't come out yet with Skeet Ulrich. Became friends with Skeet Ulrich. He got me into Rhode Island Comic Con because he was attending there with the other guys from Scream. The next movie was The Holdovers, and right after that, I did 2 commercials, one for Boston Dynamics, one for Smith & Wesson, and then I was on Finest Kind with Jenna Ortega and Ben Foster and Tommy Lee Jones. I offered Tommy Lee Jones sunscreen on set. That's how surreal this stuff has been. And then I was on another a movie that comes out later this year, Janet Planet. I got to work with Elias Codius, who is just one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. I did. Then I worked in Provincetown for a month. You got to come visit me. They put you in the movie, and that just premiered at South by Southwest.
What? Wow.
I got to work with Marissa Tomei on that one. So I've worked with a bunch of X-Men and a bunch of Oscar people.
It's never too late, and you're never too old to discover a passion and create goals and go for it.
Yeah,
And that's it.
You never know, like you were saying earlier, you never know what you're going to be good at until you try it.
Try everything, but when you discover that passion, that thing that just ignites your soul, you know, that just makes your heart so incredibly happy, you know, like that's your path. That is what you need to chase after. Like that should be your goal, you know.
Get out your phone and film.
Find, you know, just find your happy. Find your happy. And I cannot tell you how incredibly thrilling it is to sit in an audience and have your film play and have people like laugh at what you wrote, at what you did. Like it's just,
people see your logo and the cheers just come up.
It's the best
it's
feeling in the world to be able to make somebody else laugh. Like it really is, you know, to give somebody the opportunity to just kind of forget for a couple of minutes and have fun. So yeah, find your passion and go for it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much both for being here. I can't wait to share more film sets with you and submit more films to your festivals and all the things. I am so thankful to PJ and Ashes for sitting down with me. We filmed this late at night at the Mass Indie Film Festival and all of us were a little bit punchy. The brain fog was very real, but we're very much go till you drop kind of people. You might have noticed. This is just the beginning for Magenta Manor. Both PJ and Ashes are in pre-production on multiple new films, as well as preparing the logistics for the Dead of Winter Festival 2025, links below. Horror fans especially check it out. Their inaugural fest was incredible and next year promises to be even bigger. I hope the biggest takeaway from our chat is to inspire you to get out there and just create what you always wanted to create. Cut your own path and tell your stories. And if you want to hear more about festivals and how much art can impact the world, then check out this interview with Skip Shea, who runs Mass Indie Film Festival, where we interviewed, as well as 2 more film fests in the area, and other programs you should know about. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you over there.